Hi, everybody. Kristen Cooper, your mortgage gal. So glad to be giving you some information today. I have the amazing Thomas Gutierrez on here today. Thank you so much for joining me today, Thomas.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
And Thomas is with Plaza Mortgage, and he's going to be talking today about a specific program that I'm excited about. It's been around for a while, but I think the program just keeps getting better. So I'm excited to jump on and kind of dive into what is the program and who can benefit from it. So
Sounds
maybe
great.
Thomas, if you want to start with just what is a DSCR loan and, kind of the parameters of how it's a different loan than just what you would think of a standard loan.
Absolutely. So what it stands for is the debt service coverage ratio, and this is an investment property program. So this is not a program you're going to use to purchase your first home or to buy a new primary or even a second home. This is for when you're wanting to buy an investment property for investment purposes. So it could be you could be a first-time investor, or you can be an investor that's been doing this for quite some time. And basically, it's just a quick loan to be able to close quickly. Okay, really, DSCR loans should be closing in 15 days or less. And basically, it's just an investment loan where you have a borrower that's putting, 20 to 20% down on their investment purchase. Now, they are not income qualifying or they're not in qualifying off of their employment. They're strictly qualifying off of the investment property as far as what rent payment they're receiving or going to be receiving on this investment purchase or refinance that they're doing.
Yeah, and I'm sure people right now are asking themselves, okay, why, the no income loans are coming back again, right? I don't know how long you've been in business. I've been in it over 20 years and went through that as well. But maybe chat a little bit about how these are very unique and why they're not risky loans, why they're actually, I would say, less risky than your average loan would be, and how they're a little bit different. I mean, no income doesn't mean that it's not a good loan. It's actually the opposite, I would say, in this case.
Absolutely. And no, this is not the same loans that was done back in the day when during the meltdown or before the meltdown. I've been doing this for 18 years, especially at Plaza Home Mortgage, and I could tell you this is nowhere near the programs that were done back then. This particular product is strictly for investment. Back then, there was loans being done for primary and second homes, which shouldn't have been the case. With DSCR, these particular programs is just for non-owners, and the borrower is putting a significant down payment down on these loans. So this is not something where you're putting minimal down of 3% or 5%. You're actually putting 25 to 20% down to purchase these investments. And they are that. It's an investment purchase or refinance. And so there's a little bit more comfort level knowing that there's more down payment. So the borrowers that are doing these transactions, they can pretty much afford the loan and can afford the home as well. Back then, it was a little different story. With this particular product, it can help out borrowers that they cannot go with Fannie or Freddie Mac. And what I mean by that is sometimes you can't get an automated approval, or maybe you've exceeded the amount of properties Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac allows ownership. So they have a guideline requirement where the borrower cannot own more than 10 properties financed. Under this particular product, you can. There's also guidance where maybe you have your first time investor and they have 10% saved and they're just needing a gift for the other 10%. Fannie and Freddie do not allow gift funds on investment transactions. This program will. So as long as the borrower puts 10% down of their minimum down payment, they can get a gift for the additional 10%. So sometimes they go and get their mom and dad involved or brother and sister. They can do that under this program where you can't with Fannie and Freddie. Now with this product, yes, the rate is going to be slightly a little bit higher because you're not dealing with Fannie and Freddie Mac to get the best rate loans out there. DSCR is a little bit more higher risk just because there is no income and no employment involved in this transaction.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. I have a lot of clients where they start with your traditional financing, they're buying their first or second rental property and they're fine qualifying. But maybe when you get to that third or fourth property, because what you're showing as rental income on your Schedule E is not showing positive because you get to write off everything, then maybe this is how you get to continue to build your real estate portfolio. So that's where I find it most helpful for my clients is, usually the first or second that works out well. Or they have short-term rental income that can't be used on standard financing and they want to buy more investment properties, or they're self-employed and they don't show everything on their income tax returns or what they end up as net profit. doesn't show enough to be able to qualify for more rental properties. So for those that are trying to diversify or build their real estate portfolio and can't income qualify, but you have the funds to invest, I would say this is really kind of the niche to be able to use the program. Also, if you can kind of touch a little bit on closing in an LLC, because I'll get that question too, where I have someone that wants to purchase residential financing as an investment property and they want to put it in their LLC. And you can't do that on your standard financing.
Correct. You can't do that under standard financing. So normal products do not allow you to close in an LLC, which DSCR will allow you to do. So we're noticing a lot of maybe friends and family members want to invest their money and buy investment properties, and they create LLCs, and they can't do that. And so under DSCR, you can do that under this program. So if you have any borrowers that are out there looking to purchase in an LLC and continue doing that, this product would be a great product to go out and use and market.
Yeah, and even for people that currently have rental properties and, either have went and recorded in the LLC, which your lender can actually come back and call your loan due and require that you take it out of the LLC because you closed it in your individual name. Or let's say that you set up the LLC later and you now want to put that property into LLC. Would refinancing, meaning paying off their current loan and getting into a DSCR loan, be an option for them?
Absolutely. And you can use the DSCR for purchases. You can use it for a cash out transaction. So if there's borrowers out there purchasing properties cash, and they're buying them all cash, they can actually pull out 70% of what they just put into that home the very next day using the delayed financing option. So that way they can go out and buy another property, and keep growing that portfolio.
I think that's great. Another strategy too is you have a lot of investors that go out there and pay cash, and depending on the type of property and the whole structure, you may or may not be able to write off the interest when you pay cash if you take cash out later within a certain delayed time frame. So if you're paying cash and you're an investor and you want to be able to maybe utilize writing off interest depending on where you're at, that might be something to consider too, is doing a cash out refinance after you purchase the home if you're not wanting to deal with it. And so that's kind of a good thing to consider as well.
Absolutely. And there's two terms that are available for the borrowers. They can use a 30-year fixed, or they can go with a 40-year interest only, where the first 10 years is an interest only payment. And then after that, it turns into a 30-year fix if they keep the loan that long, if they don't refinance or pay it off anytime sooner. So it allows them to have that additional cash flow utilizing the interest only payment on the 40-year term. When qualifying, they do qualify off of the 30-year fix. Once again, making sure the borrower does qualify for the loan. Big difference compared to the loans that were done before the meltdown.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, I mean, really, that's kind of the important information I think for people to consider is if you are an investor or you want to start investing or you have investment properties and you just don't quite have the income or you want to close in an LLC property, then, something to consider. It's a great option, a great program. If it's something that you want to look into, give me a call. Let's run through the scenarios. Let's kind of ask some more questions and see if this could be a product fit for you. Or if you know somebody that this might be a benefit for, please share. That way we can be able to help them. I think there's a lot of people that just don't know all their options. And so as a broker, I work with, AEs such as Thomas and different lenders to ensure that you have the best programs and strategies and options available. So Thomas, anything else that you want to add maybe that we didn't touch on?
No, honestly, I think that's pretty much it for the product.
Perfect. Well, I thank you again so much for being here today. And again, if you guys have any questions or you think this might be an option you want to consider, reach out. We'd love to help.
They received the last 2 months of that certain amount. We can't. On purchases, we can't. On purchases, we actually have to use what the appraiser comes back with.
Perfect. So we're going to use market rent. So it's really important that you're looking at the statistics and the information and seeing what rental income can go for, which, I mean, quite frankly, as an agent and as a team, we want to do that anyways, because the biggest part, even if it's traditional financing, is making sure that they're educated on cash flow and everything that's going to be included in it anyhow. So not much more work. It's just a little bit more work on the pre-approvals to make sure that that property is going to be good to go, and then putting in the offer, after you've checked that. So a little bit more on that, but I love the fact that you can close quick. That's huge. You're right. There's, a lot of processes that we get to bypass in this program. And so we don't really have delays, and you're not going to have anything come up later where you're like, oh, all of a sudden a new debt, now they don't qualify. There's not going to be those last minute things that we have no control over come up. The only, wild card in here is, what the payment is and what the appraisal comes in at, right? And how much money they're putting down. So
Absolutely.
it's pretty awesome. So if you're a real estate agent and you now have this tool in your belt, what would be your best practice or your advice that you would give to agents to go out and start maybe lead generating for it, or using it in conversations?
Well, you definitely want to reach out to your investors, first of all, that are buying properties cash. Second, you want to talk to those family members that maybe you helped, a couple of years ago that were interested in purchasing an investment property. You want to give them a call and let them know that this product is available, because maybe they've tried and they could work with a certain lender and maybe they just don't have the product. They just didn't know about DSCR. Maybe those borrowers that you've been in contact with, and let's say they told you, look, we're saving for an investment property, we just don't have enough. Well, under DSCR, the borrower only has to put 10% down of their own funds. They can get a gift for the additional 10%. That is not allowed under normal conventional guidelines. So you definitely want to reach out to them. Say, hey, look, I found this great product. Maybe.
Oh, I think I'm muted. Oh, I'm muting. You're muted. You're muted here. Cut out for a minute there. It doesn't say you're muted, but I can't hear you.
Now you're cutting out
Oh,
too.
there you
I'm
are.
sorry.
Yep, you're
Okay.
good.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we'll start that.
Well, you just said to
again.
reach out to borrowers, and I think that's huge. Point in case, I had a conversation with a client today, because we always have these assumptions in our head, right? When we're calling our database or our clients and we're having the conversation, we're like, we know they don't have the money to be able to buy. Like, it requires a down payment. They're not going to be able to qualify. This morning, I had a conversation with someone that just got a huge inheritance. So they may not be able to qualify income-wise to buy, but they want to buy an investment property out of state. So this could be a really good option for them. So never
Absolutely.
assume that it's not the case that it's going to be something helpful, or that they don't know somebody that could utilize, the program. So still having a conversation around it, is really important, and always asking, hey, do you plan on investing in the next 5 years? What does that look like? And that way you're finding out what their goals are. And sometimes they'll laugh and be like, oh, I want to build my real estate portfolio. And then, follow-up questions like, sometimes things happen and you end up with more funds. But so, if that ever happens, or you're ever in a position that you want to start building the real estate portfolio, I'd love to help you on that plan. So just questions, to kind of probe and see what are their thoughts, where are they at, what would they like to accomplish, even if they're not in a position to be able to do it today. And this is a great tool for a lot of people that don't even know exist.
Absolutely. And the fact that you can also close in an LLC for those borrowers that that are closing, buying properties cash, and they want to close in an LLC, you have a product that's available to them. So definitely talk to them, let them know DSDR will allow them to close under their LLC.
Yeah, which is huge for business owners, because it's going to be another pillar that they have and that they can utilize in now their business expenses and write-offs and all that. And so if you have anybody that owns companies, or is going to be, it's definitely a great conversation of, hey, let's diversify you. Let's diversify your business. And so I agree. It's a really good program and option that a lot of people just aren't aware of. So is there anything else that you would like to add to real estate agents specifically?
No, I think that's pretty much about it. Other than also I do have something to add on, is the terms of the loan. You can definitely do a 30-year fix, or you can do a 40-year interest only. With the 40-year interest only, the first 10 years is for the interest only period. And then after that, it turns into a full 30-year loan if the borrower decides to keep the loan that long. Now, prepayment penalties are an option as well for the client. So if they're going to use this for a long-term investment and they want to get the lowest rate possible right now, you can add a prepayment penalty on there. If they don't want one, you don't have to add one. Just go zero prepay and you pay off the loan or refinance at any given time.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again for being on here and sharing your wisdom. It's so appreciated. We're always looking for different ways that we can help our customers. And so this is just an added way that we can do that. So thank you.
You're welcome anytime.